were the Black Panthers justified in engaging in violence?
Well, here's another self-criticism. At the time, I certainly would have said yes, and did say so, because I thought it was very stirring, and I don't take all of this back either, that there were blacks who didn't ask for anybody's permission anymore. They didn't wait until the moment was ripe. They didn't wait until there was a liberal consensus. They said, you know, we want to do it on our own, and we have a perfect right to do that. That struck me as a good thing. And though it led to awful consequences in the case of the Black Panthers, to gangsterism and so forth, I remember being more impressed by it now than I think I probably should have been, to the extent even of saying
more impressed by what?
By that kind of black style, and by its courage, and also to make the full self-criticism, not recognizing that King was the real revolutionary. In other words, thinking of him as really the moderate in the thing, whereas when you look back on it, he was the one who really took it on the chin, as well as, still in his 30s, risking his life almost every day and refusing to threaten anybody else's for the rights of his own people, so to speak, but also saying that moral statements had to be made about the war and about nuclear weaponry.
You saw even the civil rights movement through the prism of Vietnam and this Trotskyite vision
very
of the
difficult
global
not
struggle.
To see it that way, because I certainly think, and Mr. Buckley in a way confirms it, that those who were on the other side saw the two things as somewhat linked as well, as a challenge to a certain ruling order. Yeah.
Your statement is that they were seen by those on the other side, we have a representative of those on the other side right here, as a conjoined
yes.
challenge to the established order.
Yeah, so the George Wallace-Curtis LeMay joint candidacy was, in other words, absolutely perfect. The man who'd said we will level every work of man in Vietnam, the head of the Bomber Command, and the man who said he would stand in the schoolhouse door.
Yeah, without coming up with the placenta that fed the two movements and suggested that they were the same, I think it's true that the same people viewed the two phenomena as in a sense linked, i.e. they were the causes of that time, and they drew the sympathies of the same kind of people. Meanwhile, the conservatives were saying there are understandable strategic reasons for doing something about Vietnam, and in respect of the civil rights question, we have to recognize that progress goes slowly. The progress has to build on the good nature of the community.
Final question on each of these issues. Civil rights, you view that as a noble moment in American history. And you, Bill, what would your formulation...
Yes, I'm impressed by how conventional a view that now is in some ways, yes. Because I think...
Well, Bill's about to be unconventional.
Its baptism may have masked from people how noble it really was.
What would your formulation be?
My formulation was that the civil rights programs were a formulaic response to a real need, and not by any means one that has proved as successful as an alternative means might have been.
And on Vietnam, Bill, a century hence, will the American involvement in Vietnam be seen to have done any good at all?
I think it might be viewed historically as an act of constancy. We had said that we were going to live by the doctrine of containment, and we did our best. We prevailed in Korea, we prevailed in Berlin, we prevailed in Greece, and we didn't prevail there, but we gave the right signal, that they might say.
And your view, a century hence, how will that war be seen?
Much more as a crime than a mistake or a blunder, much more consciously committed, and as having done much more damage to American democracy than was recognized at the time, as well as having betrayed even the Vietnamese in whose name, the American allied Vietnamese, in other words, in whose name the war was conducted, as a complete, all-round textbook disaster and crime.
Christopher Hitchens, William F. Buckley, Jr., thank you very much. 30 years after the 1960s, the United States is at peace, abroad, and at home. But as Hitchens and Buckley demonstrated, there's still something about that decade that won't quite let us go. I'm Peter Robinson. Thanks for joining us.